Hello, and welcome to Streamline Your Service Department and Bolster Your Bottom Line with Sage Service Operations. My name is Vincent Pate, and I'm with Sage. Today we're going to talk about the Sage Service Operations add-on module and how it relates to your Sage 100 Contractor as we move through this. Sage Service Operations is one of our newer products to the Sage family, and we brought it in to kind of address some of the common concerns of service and specialties contractors that we ran into. Kind of a story behind the scenes is we found that when we did some research into the marketplace that many service and specialty contractors fell into kind of a certain type of hole when it came to data collection in the field. What we found is many of the dispatchers that were working in this field, or actually the dispatchers not in the field, but the dispatchers have their whiteboards on their wall, either using the dry erase or with stickers or however those are working, and having to manually move those around. We're using the service dispatching within Sage 100 Contractor as well, but the idea was all of this dispatching was disconnected from the technicians. So many technicians had to come from the wherever their homes are, drive into the office in the morning, get their list of places they need to go and work, and then drive out and go do that work with then being disconnected on that regard to where the only way they can get back to the office is either sending an email or having to make a phone call and work back. We wanted to make sure that some of those concerns were taken care of because at the same time all this is happening, your technicians are out there having to fill out everything by paper and by hand. Maybe they have a giant binder full of everything they need to do the day, get their safety reports if they're doing safety reports, device listings, and then, of course, capturing those work tickets from the customers and getting them filled out. When everything's done by paper and by hand, that means that at some point, either later in the day, driving back to the office at night or back at the end of the week, all that paper would have to come back into the office, and then somebody else would have to transcode it back into service receivables so that it's all connected back with your Sage database. This led to a lot of inefficiencies because there's always a gap of at least a day when it comes to paper tickets coming through the system, and that gap of a day means you have lack of insight into the profitability on a exact basis. You always have a little bit of gap, and you also have the ability for sales opportunities that may have been written down on a binder or on a sheet of paper to just not make it back, and this is a lost quote that we might not be able to do. This has become more and more prevalent as increased competition in the marketplace has made that customers expect higher quality, faster customer service. And if you're not able to have a mobile solution that will take all that data and make it live and allow your technicians to know everything they need to know about a site before they get there, that could put you at a disadvantage. So what we found is that you already have a solid foundation with your Sage 100 Contractor in terms of your accounting, and the service receivables module gives you a very good indication of where your work orders are going, your profitability. But we wanted to have Sage Service Operations come into play to bridge the gap between your back office and your technicians that are out in the field. And what that does is Sage Service Operations is that cloud-based software that allows your technicians to access all of the service receivables work orders, get dispatched out to, all of the site history. That is in your Sage 100 Contractor Service Receivables, but allow them to do it on their tablet or on a smartphone or on a laptop out in the office or out in the field, wherever they might be. It is designed to work on multitude of devices through a web browser, and that means that it doesn't matter what you're using. If it could be Apple, Android, Windows, what have you, and it'll always work for those particular devices. It's completely agnostic on there. And because it is a subscription service, as it says there, you can always, on a month-to-month basis, change your user count and make sure you're always at the optimum level of users, depending upon if it's the busy season or if the off season. We wanted to make it as simple and easy to use as possible. So Sage Service Operations is that product that takes your service receivables and makes it live out in the field. And where it's kind of designed around is kind of doing a couple of different pieces. We talked earlier about quotes. With service operations, we can actually capture quotes in the field as a technician. It's just a quick button. You press it. You give it the quick rundown of what's happening. Hey, the AC unit seems to be making a whole lot of noise. It's in the back office, and I think it might be the fan. And then you click a button. That'll email the service manager back in your office or whomever you want that person to be. And they can then fill out the quote, put in the actual dollars, who's going to come out and do the work, and then send that official quote to the customer. And if they want it, they can turn that right into a work order right away and get that dispatched out. Of course, we can also dispatch out by phone. We can, any of your dispatch operators gets a phone call, hey, I need to get some work taken care of. We can dispatch it out, again, right through Sage 100 Contractor. You still have that option. But you also now get expanded options into service operations, allowing them to use a new and improved dispatch board, which we'll show here in just a minute in the demo. We actually also allow for work orders to be created by the technician if you have a trusted technician or two that you would like to have do that. Say, for example, you might have a technician, maybe you guys work in plumbing. I'm kind of throwing out some different service specialties I've heard talk about this type of stuff. And if in plumbing, you might get a flood, or a pipe breaks at 9 p.m. and they happen to have the personal phone number of Bob. And, hey, Bob, get out here now. We will pay the emergency rates and come out. Your technician in the past may not have been able to create that work ticket. They just come out, do the work, fill it out, and then, the next morning or the next couple of days, they'll hand over the ticket. And your back office, your people in your service department may not know any of that happened unless your technician was diligent in letting them know. We can now have that work ticket be created in Sage 100 Contractor by the technician out in the field, and therefore no lack of insight. Everything then flows in. Once your technicians are out there, getting these work tickets dispatched out to them, they can then go out and do their work immediately. And it's tied back into the inventory, so they can always make sure if they're looking at the work ticket and they see what parts they need, they can look in their truck and make sure they have it. The system connects with the inventory to allow them to always know where they're going, and if they need to pull inventory from maybe their buddy's truck when they meet for lunch, they can do that as well, and the system will actually reduce the other truck and work for them. This also allows your technicians to get all their data right from their tablet or smartphone when they leave their house. You could completely avoid the technician having to drive into the office to get his work tickets and at the end of the day drop them off. That's a whole trip back and forth to the office that could be used to dispatch them out to an extra client in the day, making them more productive. So as they travel to the site, they get the work done. The technician completes all the information that they need to, and we'll talk about some of the other service specialties where maybe the technician's completing less and it's more done on the back end. We can accommodate, all types of different service specialty companies. But the technician does all the work. They fill out all the different information. What parts did they use, reduce the truck inventory, buy new parts if you'd like them to be able to create their own purchase orders, and then get the approval from the customer. Actually have all that information right there on their tablet. They can pull up a official work ticket on the tablet with a stylus or with their finger. The customer can then sign off on it with the approval and have that emailed out to everyone so that we have that automatically emailing out the office and letting them know, this work ticket was just completed a minute ago. Can you send out the bill and get that taken care of? And that sync with Sage 100 Contractor can do a bunch of things all at once. The technician's time is being sent over into daily payroll, so we can get the daily payroll taken care of. The purchase order that your technician may have purchased to grab some of the parts that he was missing from his truck, automatically in 661 purchase orders. And that allows us to generate the payments faster, get the payroll done quicker, and all that work ties in. So let's actually see it in action. Let's pull up Sage Service Operations. And we're going to take a quick moment to talk about some of the major roles that would use this software. Most technicians are going to live in this screen that we're looking at here, assigned work orders. And we're going to come back and be a technician in just a second. But I want to start as your dispatcher. Your dispatcher can completely choose which software they want to use. Many of you today are using Sage 100 Contractor's dispatch board. You're using the service receivables module to get all the information. And that's great. It does a good job at what it does, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't give you a live map of where all the data is. With the Sage Service Operations, we can expand upon the dispatch board. It's actually the exact same dispatch board. Little side note, this system does not have a import-export. It's a live connection with your Sage database, and everything we see in Service Operations is what's in your Sage 100 Contractor today. So you never have to worry about duplicates. You never have to worry about data not matching up because it is a live sync between the two setups. And that, therefore, this dispatch board that I'm looking at here in the cloud is the same dispatch board that I would look at in Sage 100 Contractor. The big difference is this one is going to give me the information anywhere. I can do this at home before I even head to the office, quickly dispatch some stuff out and then drive in. But I can also use it and see a quick day view, a week view, a 2-week view. I can look out into the month, say, hey, in the last month, what's going on? Well, as you can see, we haven't been too busy in my company this month, but in June we had a significant number of work tickets. And it looks like I put some addresses kind of funky in my system here, so my map's trying to accommodate for all that over the month. The system is designed around letting you see all of your different technicians, where they would be assigned out to on a map, and making sure you can plan the best route right from their house. Let's say, hey, if my technician starts out in their home and we got to go to these couple different places, what's the best route that could take them there to maximize the productivity of this technician? And we do have some connections in with some, with Fleetmatics. If you happen to be a Fleetmatics user, you can use this to show their trucks live on the map as well if you go that route. We also, as a dispatcher, can right from here create a work ticket. I can say create new work order, create that, put in the information, who I want to dispatch it out to, and go. Lots of different ways we can slice and dice this, but this gives us an extra dispatch board that we can choose. And again, you can still use the one in 100 Contractor. You can use the one here. They're completely interchangeable and usable. Of course, once you dispatch those out to your technicians, they can then come into this software and see exactly what's going on. They no longer have to come into the office if you don't need them to. First thing, you say, hey, you start in the morning at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., go first thing you do, hit the refresh button on your dispatch or assignments page, and that's what we've got scheduled for here today. Then they can come in and say, okay, well, it's great. Today, Tuesday, I got to go to City of Modesto and install a panel, and later on I'm doing some heater and water working, or water heaters not working at the Lamb Shoes, so I can make sure I can plan my trips accordingly. Or, as we talked about earlier, you maybe have that emergency piece. Your technician can always create their own work order right from here as well if you've given them the access to. Now, I will also point out, because there's a variety of different people on the phone call today, we talk to people that are roofers or landscapers or where you might have your technician not filling out a lot of the work ticket, and instead they're just kind of, they need to know where to go and what to do. When you go into your work ticket, let's say it's the City of Modesto, for some of you people, your technician's going to come into a pretty blank work ticket. They're going to say, okay, here's I'm installing a panel, and here's my contact where I'm there. Here's all the different information that I need to know. Some of it's not filled out right now. And your technician's going to fill out everything. Hey, I'm going to fill out my notes and how many hours and what parts am I using, because they're going to be more independent on their work. But if you happen to be one of those other types of service companies where, as I said, landscaping or roofing, where maybe you don't have that customer interaction, or your technician really is going out there to do some work that you told them and not really to go against the grain, you as a person back in the office or the dispatcher can actually fill out all their notes and all their parts and everything that they're going to need to know ahead of time, and then the customer or the technician would just fill out any additional notes. So we can work on both sides. I'm going to do this doing the more comprehensive work here, so I'm act as a technician that's going to be filling out most of the work. I wanted to let you know we can work either way depending upon how your company wants to roll. So in this case, my technician's coming out to the City of Modesto, that's, let's say, the municipality here, and they're going to install a panel. Maybe that's a circuit panel or a control panel. Now, when they come into the work ticket, they can click directions, get a big map, see where they're at. Here's my contact. But also note, before I go in, I may actually just click right there on the name of the client or the service location, City of Modesto, and this is going to give me a history of all the stuff that we've done in the past. In fact, I could see that they had some AC issues and some heating issues, a lot of that. Now I'm coming in to install a panel. If it happens to be maybe the heating panel or the AC control panel, then might go in and say, hey, you know, how is this other stuff working? I can always look back at the history and get a better idea of what I'm doing right from this screen here. And that means as a technician, I'm going to be more informed, and I won't be surprised when I get there and they say, hey, Bob came out yesterday and already did this. Why are you here? Oh, well, I didn't know. Nobody bothered telling me. You know, they just got busy. All my history's here. I can verify everything, jump into old work orders. But also at the same time, I can see a lot of other information. Who's my, you know, let's see my client's locations. Do we have any existing quotes out there? Some of the some of the technicians I talk to, they actually are looking actively for quotes because they want to get more work because they get paid per the hour that they're actually on site. And they can look in here and say, hey, you know, your sink doesn't stop running. Is that still an issue for you? Do you want me to just tack that on? We have that ability through here. And all the different service contracts, what's our warranty look like? There's no one on the service on the here, but we can see what our services are, what our warranties are, any attachments that we've done. So all of the site history is available for our technicians as we go out there. Let's go back over to the actual work order itself and start filling it out. Now, real quick before I begin filling out the work ticket, do know this. This is running on my laptop. If this was a tablet, it would look almost identical, just maybe without the white spaces on the either side. But if I'm on a smartphone, let's say I'm running on an Android or Apple, it doesn't matter, the site automatically redesigns itself to be more friendly to your fingers. So I'll have an overview button and I'll have a notes button. And I can click right on there and fill in my notes and click back and do my assignment updates and say, yep, I'm starting my assignment now, and just click it. So we automatically will adjust the size and the shape of the site to work with whatever device you happen to be using. Very flexible in that. For our demo, I'll stick with the tablet view, as it's probably the most common thing we hear people using. Now, on our notes, we have two types of notes, as you do in Sage 100 Contractor Service Receivables. You have the customer viewable and internal. And this allows you as a technician to, first off, one, if you're needing to read the notes that your dispatcher put in there, you would see those right there, and I can verify all the notes and say, yep, I need to go, hedge these this lawn here, or, forgive my terrible use of terminology, but you could see exactly what things you need to do. If it's this panel, you could say install the panel in the east wing in room number 23. That could show there as a note. Also, as a technician, I could say I got here and I had to reset the breaker. We can create custom drop-downs, so things with your company verbiage on it, so that every single time a customer gets billed for a certain type of work, the same notes can show up on each for each time. So it's more consistentness on there. It also saves your technician from having to type it out. And your technician can use their speech to text and talk right into their device and have it record what they're saying if you prefer them to have to do that. I can also, of course, put in the simple thing of install the panel. And if I want to put in a note back for the office, I can say maybe got done early, heading to next site 15 minutes ahead of time. I can put that right in here and automatically have this email my service manager when I submit these notes. So these notes not only are getting put directly into Sage 100 Contractor immediately onto work order 128, but it's also being emailed to whomever I need to have be contacted when I did this. And actually, that's a good point, and we'll swing back over there in just a minute, but note that this is a direct connection back with Sage 100 Contractor. So I'm just going to bring this up for one quick moment before we get back to the work ticket. But, or actually, we'll just, it's taking a second here. That work ticket 128 that we're working on right there, bring that up, is live. And we can already see the notes coming into the system, reset the breaker, installed the panel. just note that everything their technician's doing is happening live in your Sage 100 Contractor database, so that it's one of those accountability pieces where if you're someone back at the office trying to keep up with your technicians, what are they doing, note that you can know exactly what they're doing and when they're entering it into the system. There is no delay. It's all within there. So filling in all the notes they need to do, all that's done. We also have our assignments. Now, a couple things. I talk to different groups of people. We have some people that go out, singular technician goes out and do their work. They fill out their own assignments. We also have groups where you might have a crew going out and one person's filling it out for other people. We can accommodate either one. You can have multiple assignments here. That's why we have all assignment completes. You can click that and everyone completes their assignment or starts their assignment. Also know we have two different ways of capturing labor time, and we'll talk a little bit more about time here in a minute when we get to the that portion of here. But note that you can have your technicians do a punch in and punch out for all the time they did on a work order, and that's exactly what this does. When I click Start on this, I started my timer. And when I click Assignment Complete, when I'm all done, it stops the timer. And we can have that time go directly into payroll versus having to actually manually type it in. It's not for everybody. There's some companies that don't want to have to worry about that extra bit of tracking, but it's there as an option if you'd want to use it. And if you do want to use it, do note that every time you click one of these assignment updates, it is geo-stamping and time-stamping the place and what time they did it. So you can always go back and audit and make sure they were actually at the job and not at the Starbucks down the street. We mentioned earlier you can add the hours in manually, or if you have a crew, you can grab those people. Me and Dustin maybe perhaps worked on this, or maybe I just did the install panel myself. I did it for 2 hours, billing for 2 hours, and all my rates will come over into the system as they've been set up in my 100 Contractor. Put in my labor hours as we go through, and then whatever parts we use. Now, we have a couple different things on parts. We can go directly from an assembly, or we can do inventory parts if you're tracking inventory, or we have miscellaneous items. Perhaps I'm on an assembly, and I think if I go here and add assembly, I might have a panel in here already. Let's see what we got. Perfect. We got an amp service and panel. Let's say I'm grabbing that, and we're going to go ahead and sell that for $250 and add that to the piece here. These lookups into your Sage 100 Contractor allow us to quickly grab full assemblies or full parts. And if you find that I'm missing something, I need a couple cables or something that I don't have, and I need to go buy them. We do have the ability to create purchase orders in the system as well. If your technician's been turned on to allow it, they can create a PO. That PO can be filled out, which goes directly into your 661 purchase order screen. They can take a picture of the receipt, take a picture of the product that they bought, so that those are all tied together, and your service manager can make sure, or your AP person can make sure everything is legit when they go do that. It's all tied together. And again, you can turn that on or off depending upon your technician. And if your technician happens to be needing to borrow a part from somebody else, we have inventory locations here as well, and we can track different trucks. And again, I meet my buddy out at the Starbucks, for lunch, and I borrow the cables from his truck. I could say I took these from his truck, and it will lower his inventory location from there. So we can track different inventory locations, where things came from, keeping everything up to date so you don't have to worry about doing an audit every single week or every day to make sure that your trucks have everything they need. You can also come in here and do miscellaneous time. Maybe we have a trip charge that we want to add to this. It's $25, something quick like that we want to put on here as well. Filling out all the different work. And again, if you are one of those companies that your technician doesn't do all this stuff, they're just they're just reading to see what they need, you could have this all filled out. You can do it all right in 100 Contractor, and this is going to pull right from what that work order has. And they could also take pictures. So this is connected to their camera roll or to their camera itself on their tablet or their smartphone. And you can take pictures, maybe before and after pictures, or you come in and you see some damage that's already there. You could take a picture and say, hey, there was already damage here before I started. It's going to record that in the system. Anything you guys want to do for attachments, we can do that. Pictures will automatically get tagged onto the work ticket if you'd like them to. And then we get the reporting. talked earlier about all the paper that you have to use. Of course, most people have the, main service report. Maybe it's the, triplicate, pink, yellow, white paper that you fill out that has all the information. That's right here in the service report. But do know you can create custom reports in here to do all the other types of paper that you might have to fill out. Safety checklists, payment forms, device listings, customer satisfaction forms. If you have specific exact forms that you need the government to fill out, we could actually create those for you. But we do have a report designer built in, so you can do those, different types of forms that you want to fill out, get created, and do them all in the field. And then we have the actual service report. This takes all the information that was on the work ticket, the notes, the time, and all that stuff, and puts it onto the tablet. And it's a little customizable as well, so you can make sure it's showing you exactly what you need. And you can hand this over to the customer and say, hey, this is what I did. This is the parts I used. This is the amount of labor I'm billing you for. Is everything legit? And the customer can add their notes. They can put their email address to get automatically emailed this when they're done. And they can sign off on this. You can have your technician sign off on it if you want to as well. And all that gets signed off. You accept the agreement, and this then emails the customer, and it adds it to the work ticket in Sage 100 Contractor, and it emails your service manager right away, so they can go in Sage 100 Contractor and bill it and send and create the invoice right there without having to wait for that ticket to come back in from the technician at the end of the day or at the end of the week and then get retranscoded. Again, we're live. And by the way, I can complete this and return to my assignments, and this is where I'd say saved a payroll if I was actually using that as the start-stop time payroll. So that technician's now done. We go ahead and close back over to our main service site, and that PDF document that was just created and signed off gets sent over to the office to where they can pull up that work ticket with all the information I just filled out already on it. They can make any changes if you need to. You're not stuck from doing that. You can say, yep, you're right. We're going to give a discount on this case as a good customer. We're only going to do $75 on there. Whatever you need to do, you create it, you save it, and you turn this into that billing right away without having to wait for everything or recode everything. And by the way, while my technician was out there at the work ticket, maybe I just completed everything. Before I leave, I could also point out that quote we talked about earlier. I can say, hey, AC, it's kind of hot outside right now. Notice your AC might be having some issues. We've already worked on it a couple times. I looked at it in my notes. Do you want me to get you a quote to actually have someone come in and replace the AC? And the customer says, yeah, sure, get me a quote. And you say, replace AC unit. And then I can say, technician comments to the back office, it's broken twice, making noises now. And, part description not needed in this case, but I can generate that quote and that technician's done. Hey, there's my quote, walk away. But that quote then gets emailed over to somebody back in the office where they can pull up quote 74 and actually fill out all the details. What parts do I think I need? How much labor time do I think that'll be? We get everything to the point where you get a little estimate summary to make sure you're actually making decent profit before emailing this over and sending a PDF quote to the customer. We track it all in the system and allow your customer, once they say yes, go with it, you can turn this into a work ticket and get that assigned out without having to wait. So we have a whole quoting system here as well and a place where you can run and do reports on the different quotes that are sitting out there. Now, my technician just completed his 2 hours at the City of Modesto. They're all done. Now they can head on over to the next site and start the whole process over again. That's where we get a lot of this benefit, is just the time-saving aspect of your technicians not having to worry about the paper, about having to go back and call the office or with anything. They have the site history. They have their whole schedule in front of them, and they can get more productive and be more informed as they go and do the work. This also is their time card. This is 2 hours that I've worked at regular time on a particular service ticket, but I also can do all of my other types of miscellaneous assignments, things that I need to do, such as, hey, yesterday I was on vacation. So I can actually work on, I say I was 8 hours on vacation yesterday. I can put that on there. I can say I worked at a job later today and put it to what job and cost code. All of the different things you would ever want to do for time can be done on here. This is a full-time entry. I worked on, let's say I went to our big Redwood Tree Hotel, and I was doing some wall framing, and, let's see, we're going to go ahead and say the carpentry, I guess, would probably make sense. I'm a journeyman, and I worked there for 4 hours today doing some wall framing. All the different types of job work, office work, sick, vacation, those can all be thrown on here and make this be my weekly time card, which will track all the weekly time, and I can say, yep, this is all accurate. We can track van mileage for reporting later, put in notes such as took all breaks and lunches, and submit my hours. And we'll actually have, coming very shortly actually, we're adding a bit of place for some extra levels of approval to make sure your time is fully approved and stuff. But everything that I've been putting in here as well automatically is going into my Sage payroll as daily payroll entries. So when I come into here, I could see that service report or service ticket I worked on earlier, the 2 hours are there, and also the 4 hours of wall framing I just did at Big Redwood. Everything is live in my Sage database so that my payroll person can verify it here in daily payroll and then create their time cards from this. It's all tied together there. Now, before I switch over to kind of some of the last pieces here, I also want to talk a little bit about jobs. Now, we've been talking service this entire time, dispatching out service, having your technicians have all that service stuff, being able to be a time card. Also note that we have integration here for your construction side as well. Most service companies I talk to have a construction division, not all, but most. And we wanted to help with that side of their company as well. We allow you to do daily field reports in the system and have those daily field reports connected back to the, I believe it's 610.6 daily field report screen in Sage 100 Contractor. If I have a Williams Post Office as one of my dailies that I'm working at, I can come in here, do the field report, generate a field report, and fill it out all in the field. I'm, as a superintendent, this may be the only thing in the system. I'm not going to assignments and doing work tickets. I'm just coming out here and saying, yep, it's cloudy, because unfortunately I live in Oregon, and it is cloudy here, and it's 70 degrees. So don't get the fun sun that July is supposed to be giving me, but I'm going to record that down anyways. And I generate that field report. It creates a DFR number 33 in Sage 100 Contractor, and allows me as a superintendent to fill out, here's the notes for the day that we happen down here. What labor came in? Well, me, Scott, and Dustin all worked on foundation framework for 2 hours today, and we could put that time in there. Also going to the time card in the main screen for that's technicians. And they can fill out the labor, what subcontractors came out here, were there any incidences? What equipment did I use? This actually uses the equipment module of Sage 100 Contractor as well. Maybe I was using my loader. We were saying used it. Used my loader here for that foundation framework, and we operated it for the 2 hours, but it was also on standby for 2 hours. We can track that. That's creating those labor entries in the system from the field. If I'm doing, let's just throw out there, if you do any unitary billing, we can capture the units. Everything can be done within here. Create those DFR reports, the PDFs, and save those. Take pictures as well. All the walkthroughs can come through. We have those connections here to do your daily field reports. Everything's tied back in, as I pointed out. That time should show up here on my daily field report assignment, 2 hours. So now I've got my 8 hours for today, and everything's accounted for. Lots of different connections back in with Sage 100 Contractor here to make sure that you can do your jobs easier and better from wherever you happen to be. So at this point, we have about 10 minutes left, and I'm going to bring up the question and answer phase here in just a minute. So feel free to start throwing in your questions into the Q&A or chat. I already see one there as well. Before I do, I just want to let you know, if I don't answer any of your questions today, meaning me as a high-level person, I may not know the nitty-gritty details. My email address right here is on the bottom, vincent.pate@sage.com. Feel free to email me any questions that I'm not able to answer, and I'll get you those actual official answers. Also, if you'd like to get pricing on this, I'll tell you it's a subscription model price, which means that you can pay on a monthly or annual basis, but that price is a flat fee, and you can change your user counts each month as it makes sense. We mentioned that a little bit earlier, but if you, say, happen to be on the high season and you need 20 users, we can accommodate, and maybe in your low season you drop down to 15. We can do that real easy with this subscription model here. But if you want to get the exact pricing, 800-858-7095 is your number to contact your Sage account manager, but also feel free to call your Sage business partner if you have a relationship with them as well. So at this moment, I'm going to go ahead and flip back over to the Q&A side of things here and read the questions. The first question is, can this be used for subcontractor vendors rather than employees? Yes. Because this is not connected directly, the users in the system do not necessarily have to be employees within Sage 100 Contractor. They won't be connected as vendors in there for payroll time reasons, but you could create a user that's not tied back to a employee and use it here. It's not designed to work that way because, again, we're trying to make this accomplish both your payroll as well as your internal side, but it could be done. You could create a catch-all dummy user or something and make that work for you there. That'd probably be something we'd best talk about outside of this particular presentation. So if you're the one who asked me that question, feel free to email me any specifics on that you want to, maybe elaborate on that, how you exactly want to work with it, and we'll see if we can come up with a good solution. Another question that came in is the sensitive information in Sage, like payroll, secure and protected from being seen by field techs? Yes. This is allowing you to see all the work ticket information. You could see how many hours somebody worked on a site, but it's not going to show you how much they're getting paid. It'll show you perhaps how much we're billing the customer. So if you ever need to know how much the customer got billed, you could turn that feature on. But they will never see how much a technician gets paid. They will never be able to see any personal information of another technician. And in fact, your technicians, when they're looking, really will only be able to see the information on themselves unless they happen to be a supervisor or somebody else. So no sensitive information should be available or could be available in the site. I'll give it another moment here. I see one more question. I'll give it a second here to see if any others pop up as well. The question is, can they have access to any of the program files? I'm maybe not sure I'm understanding the question appropriately on there. I'm going to say no, mostly because the technicians or the people. Actually, let's go ahead and expand upon this a little bit. When you set up a technician in the setup, you have a user created. That user is only able to do the things you tell them they are able to do. What group are they? Groups control email addresses and who they can email and things like that. Who are their supervisors? Are they a supervisor of anyone else? Can they see information of somebody else? Are they, what is their default roles in the system? Can they create quotes, POs? Can they add new work orders to the system? Can they edit certain different pieces? Your technicians are completely controlled by you as to what they can or cannot do. So there should not be any scenarios that are out there that would allow your technician to see any information that they should not see. That's completely controlled by you and how you want to set that up. And it says also, can it keep history per piece of equipment per site? And yes, as well. So when I pulled up that site history earlier on, and I'll go ahead and bring that up here as well. When I pulled up that site history for City of Modesto, actually, I'm going to switch to Lamb Shoes because I think I actually have equipment in there. When I'm going into my Lamb Shoes, let's say, I can see my different pieces of equipment that I work on there, and I can view the heat pump here, and I can see all the service history for that heat pump and all the information there and all the different pieces. So yes, we do have all of the equipment history as well as the main work order history for a particular site. It's all connected within the system and available. And to kind of answer this other question here, is there a way to see what the site would look like if it's just a technician that they don't do anything else? I could show you right away. As an admin, I can actually jump in as a particular user and see exactly what they could see. So I'm going to turn off all the extra stuff here on one of my technicians and make them a true technician. This technician, Scott in this case, if I go and log in as him, you're going to see they're just going to see the assignments page and then whatever's been assigned out. So Tuesday was, I had stuff assigned to me, Vincent. Scott can't see any of that. He can only see work orders that have been assigned to him, which currently there are none. But the technician gets limited on their view. It's not like there's columns or sections that they can click on that they don't see anything. They literally only see what you should see. And the last question I'm seeing here is I guess there's a couple questions, but how far back does work order history go for each customer? As far back as you want. There is a setting when you set up the site and it says how many days back do you want to look. You just set that number up to whatever you want. The default is, I think, 3 years, and you can just change that to whatever makes sense for you and your company. And a great question that came up, is this capable of refrigerant logging and keeping history per piece of equipment? Yes. We do have, with the latest release of the software, which happened about 2 months ago, I think, or 3 months ago at this point, we do have the ability to look at refrigerant tracking as well and track how much refrigerant is being used on each particular site for those of you in the HVAC field. I'm not seeing any more questions pop up. Doesn't mean there's not others out there that just haven't been able to throw it into the screen yet here. So again, if there's anything that I've missed in terms of question-wise or you just haven't been able to send over, my email address, vincent.pate@sage.com, is right there on the bottom. Feel free to email me and I'll get you any information you need. If you'd like to get pricing, you could email me and I'll point you to the right person, or you can call the 800 number on the screen or call your Sage business partner. And again, thank you all very much for your attendance today. I'll get this recording out to everyone here within the hour. And thank you very much. Have a great day.